Saquon Barkley just signed a record-breaking contract, which will have major implications on the Jets' contract discussions with their star running back. But we got some young guys who are going to help us have some more leverage in these discussions, and we got to break it down here on Jets Digest. So what's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Before we hop into the video today, only 24.1% of viewers are subscribed to the channel. So if you are not subscribed, please take a second, hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But hopping into the video for today, Saquon Barkley just signed that massive 2-year, $41 million contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles, $20.5 million per year, resetting the running back market. We know every time a young up-and-coming player is coming up to a contract extension, they're usually looking for the extension to reset the entire market. The running back position, kind of a special case. Breece Hall does not have the leverage to ask for over $20+ million a year, but this contract is bad for the New York Jets salary cap situation, as it is going to make Breece Hall more expensive to maintain for the future. Now, talking about should Breece Hall be re-signed, Aaron Glenn has talked about in plenty of interviews his plans to win games, and it's his plans to win now. The last time I checked, the way you win games is by keeping talented players on the roster. Breece Hall is certainly a talented player. It would make a ton of sense for the New York Jets to hang on to their stars. We know that 2022 draft, all those guys are coming up for extensions here soon, and Breece Hall, without a doubt, is going to be one of those guys looking for a contract extension. Looking at his stats with the New York Jets over the past 3 years that he's been in the season, he started in the league. He started off 463 rushing yards as a rookie that year, of course, cut short by that torn ACL, but he made more than up for it with that tremendous comeback season in 2023, posting almost 1,000 yards off of a torn ACL, which is extremely impressive. And how important that comeback season, that cannot be understated. That is extremely rare, extremely amazing to see out of our running back. This year, a tiny bit disappointing from a running rush yards perspective, although if you watch Breece Hall, you know he is also a weapon in the passing game, which is one of the major reasons why Jets fans are so high on him. He is a weapon in not only the run game, but the pass game as well. Someone who is going to be able to stress the defense in multiple ways, and why he is such a big problem on Sundays. So, should we re-sign this guy? I really think it's a good idea to keep him on if you are trying to win games. If the New York Jets decide they are going to tank, then it would make sense to let Breece Hall walk. But right now, Aaron Glenn says he's winning games, so we'll keep him on. So let's talk about how much is this contract going to be. And to figure that out, we're going to take a look at a recent second-round pick running back who was extended by the Indianapolis Colts. Here's the stats of one Mr. Jonathan Taylor. Almost 1,200 rushing yards as a rookie, 1,800 in that second season, and then 861 rushing yards in his third season. And even with those lofty numbers, the Colts still didn't want to pay him. They waited for him to hold out, really messy in 2023, led to those numbers being a lot lower. But Jonathan Taylor got the contract he was looking for. That contract was 3 years, $42 million, $14 million per year. Now, Breece Hall, his stats are not as high as Jonathan Taylor's were, at least his rushing yards aren't. But with this Saquon Barkley contract, the important thing about the Barkley contract is it signifies a change in the NFL and the way they are handing out contracts to these running backs. In the last couple years, the running back position has been devalued across the board. Teams are realizing that these running backs are replaceable, and they're drafting them later and later in the NFL draft. One important point here, we see running backs, it's so rare for them to be taken in the first round anymore, and that's because teams think that they can just find them late in the draft so they don't have to spend that high draft pick on them. Also, they don't want to pay them because the shelf life is shorter and you're at a higher risk for injury when you're a running back and getting hit. Every time that a play is called for you, you're going to get tackled. That's not a wide receiver. Could have a bad pass. Maybe he can get down before taking a tackle. But running backs, you're running right between the tackles. You're taking a lot of hits, taking a lot of punishment on your body. These guys are going to get hit. So that's why you got to be careful if you do elect to pay one of these running backs, you got to understand the risk for an injury is much higher at the running back position than one of the other positions. But if you are not a fan of re-signing Breece Hall, that's okay, because we do have 2 running backs on our roster, both rookies last season. They will be going into their second season with the team, and we are excited to see what else Braelon Allen and Isaiah Davis have to add to the squad. Braelon Allen being the 4th round pick out of Wisconsin, 6'4", 240 pounds, big body running back. We've seen he can do more than just be a big body. He's also got some speed to him, got some juke moves, and he can be a talented runner when given the opportunity. And speaking of given opportunities, Isaiah Davis was given even less opportunities, but the 5th round pick out of South Dakota State made the most of his opportunities that he was given late in the season and gave Jets fans hope for the future. These guys, they're going to make it so the Jets, Darren Mougey, their GM, is going to be able to tell Braelon Allen, it's going to be able to tell Breece Hall, if Breece Hall goes to Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey and asks for something ridiculous like $18 to $20 million, Darren Mougey can point to these 2 players and say, we don't need you. We can let you walk because we have guys that are going to be able to fill in for your role should you demand too much money in free agency. Now, we're of course hoping that Breece Hall is going to stick around and sign a contract that not only works for him, but works for the team. A lot of people have given Breece Hall some heat for always going for the home run play instead of taking the play that's there and blocked for him and called for him. But the way I see it, if you're Breece Hall, you got to go try to make the big play at all times. That's what we loved about him coming out of Iowa State. That's why he was drafted so highly, because he was a guy who can take just a small, maybe what should be a 3-yard gain, and take it all the way to the house, make a really impressive play, and a guy that Jets fans can be excited for a long time. But Breece Hall, this is a guy that we got to get him signed, because we got these 2022 draft class contract extensions coming up. We got Garrett Wilson, or we got Sauce Gardner, who's going to get signed. Garrett Wilson, who should be signed. We really want to get him done, of course. Jermaine Johnson is the interesting one because he is coming off of that torn Achilles. So if I'm Darren Mougey, I'm telling him, we think you're a good player, but we got to see the production before we give you a long-term contract. If I'm Jermaine Johnson and seeing what we've heard from Jermaine Johnson in social media, I believe that he's going to be on board with this plan. He's going to play this contract, and it's going to be a prove-it year where if he does really well, he's going to get paid a lot more money than if he was signed now. And if he doesn't play very well, he's not going to make a lot of money. But he's going to bet on himself, and he's going to play well this year, hopefully, and we can pay him to a big contract. Then Breece Hall, to me, is the least important of these 4 players, because running back is the most replaceable position of those 4. Edge rusher, corner, wide receiver, those are premier positions that you want to draft at the top of the draft. And when you have to re-sign them, they are the most expensive positions. So if you have to go to free agency to get them, you have to pay them more. Every single year, there are free agent running backs who you can go out and find. Like this year, we got Najee Harris as a free agent. Last year, we saw all those quality free agents make a huge difference on their team. So there are always going to be running backs in free agency, but they are not going to be signing to the money that, the Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilsons will be signed to. So that's why those 3 players, their contracts have to be a priority over Breece Hall's. Although I do want to see Breece Hall stick with the team, like I've reiterated in this video. Want to see him stick with the New York Jets. Love his run game. Love what he brings in the pass game specifically. One of truly the best running backs in the pass game that the NFL has to offer. And love hanging on to Breece Hall in fantasy. But that's what I got for you guys for today. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new. And as always, go Jets.